I'm a tinkerer primarily. You know, I just take stuff apart and then it becomes an art piece instead of just goes. It's not science. It's more expressive, crazy art piece. You know, just tinkering. The sculpture, the metal sculpture, was more of a particular genre that I do that too. I did that for a long time, but you need you need good scrapyard material to work from, and I don't have that right now. So I ended up just making more assemblage because I have those, you know, there's more flotsam to work with, found flotsam. Like I said, the fabricator starts with a plan, and the assembler plans with a start. In college, I was studying art. I got a BFA. It was general art. You know, I took commercial art courses. I took fine art courses. Mostly, I was a drawing and painting major because I didn't know what else to be, and it was the only way I was going to make it through college. I mean, my art grade saved my ass. That's for sure. But then I saw some sculptors like David Smith and Anthony Caro, and those guys. I connected with that some kind of way, and that was like, that's what I'm going to do, you know. So I went and just took industrial welding and qualified as a real welder and took that. That's when the path started. But I didn't really get into it till after I got out of college. But I learned a lot, you know. I learned more about metalworking, fabricating. So stoic a shape, so final a form, turning, rolling, spinning, spot on, cyclic clickdom's ring. Circles everywhere, always around. I'm always going around in circles anyway. You asked me about found objects, which is a big part of this assemblage sculpture, found object things. And sometimes you run across something that you just got to have. It may be on the side of the road, it may be in a back room. And so there's the question of ethical salvage, which I've sort of broken down as, if it's not personal property, if no one will get in trouble from it being gone, and it's usable, maybe that's ethical salvage, and you can take it. Because I knew that where there was a piece of metal I could use for this thing I was working on late in my studio, staying up stoned working one night. And I had to have it, and I was all funked up in my work clothes and everything. So I went to the scrapyard at 10:30 at night, closer to 11. I'm up in the middle of the scrapyard in the dark because I knew where it was. There's this big slab of metal that I needed. And then at that time they had put a night watchman on duty, and I didn't know it because I used to go in there and just get stuff all the time. They didn't really. So he comes up and says, "What the hell are you doing up in here in the middle of the scrapyard in the middle of the night?" And I just started talking crazy like, "What? Why you ask me? Why you ask me? I'm just, why you ask me?" I did something like that. I can't even remember. And that was but I never got the piece. My sculpture doesn't have a lot of color in it. The assemblage has color by consequence. It's found color, but when I go to do painting, of course, you got to choose color. You got to be all about being a colorist, and that's pretty complicated and infinite. There's every color. It's an infinite thing. The rainbow light spectrum is what color is. So, but there's only so many colors. The color wheel only goes around once, and then you start repeating, right? If you think of it that way, and all of the colors are based off 3 primary colors. So it's just same with chords and music. There's only so many chords, but they're infinite in their combinations. So I almost want to renounce color and go black and white. And so when I do that, I just say I have color action without color, and that works for me. But if you put a yellow in there or red, it's going hot and cool. It means something. It's going to associate, and you might not want that to be more open, more universal. Red, hot, cool. It's not just an interior desecrator with a bag of swatches trying to match their socks. It's more than that. It's pretty complicated. Composition doesn't really need to be that complicated. I used to just get wrapped up in it, and composition is what it's all about, and it is. But it's really simple. Just don't make anything too close or too far away, and balance it out. The heaviosity, the nuances of, leave that to the professors who are going to tweak it to death. Just keep it between the ditches. Drive to arrive alive and stare it 'tween the ditches. Keep thine eyes to the road and watch out for them drunk son bitches. Symmetry is not necessarily boring. This is to that as that is to the whole. One side is the same as both. Symmetry straight down the middle. Too much percussion in this place. You know, so anyway, it started, I think that was 1991. The only reason I can remember is because I called it the year of symmetrics. Get it, 1991. I'm mildly dyslexic, so that factors in. Yep, called Brembile. That's Brazilian. This is my version.
That's my version.
It's a duct tape Brembile.
With a local board.
Yeah.